tonight is very exciting because I'm getting feedback from my first beta reader. I currently have 3 books that I keep at my bedside. Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Sarah Jane and I make content about living in DC, writing and reading. So if any of that interests you, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe because it really does help support my channel. As you can see, the Christmas tree is now finally down and I'm slowly packing up all the Christmas decorations this weekend and it feels nice. It feels like a refreshing start to the year. I did not get a lot of writing done this week. I really intended to, but it was my first week back in the office and it was a lot to kind of get back into the swing of things. If you didn't see my last video, I've been in Scotland for the past 10 days. So kind of coming back, going back to work, it was just a lot. So I didn't really write that much. So my intent is to write this weekend. I do have a long weekend because I have off for Martin Luther King Day. But tonight is very exciting because I'm getting feedback from my first beta reader. So tonight we're going to go ice skating because it's my friend and we go ice skating together, and then we're going to grab dinner, and I am very interested in hearing her feedback and what she thought. I sent her like a list of questions, but I know she has other additional feedback to give me outside of those questions. So I figured this would be a good time to vlog. Hello everyone. So I am back from my evening. Went ice skating with my friend and who is also the person beta reading my story, and then we had dinner at this place called Easy Going, which is a new wine bar in the Wharf, and then we had kind of like a working dinner where we just talked about all things in the book. So I wrote everything down in my little notebook right here, and I thought I'd kind of just share. First things first, she enjoyed it, which was so exciting to know. I was so nervous because like when I reread my book, I really like it, but then it's like, will other people like it? So the fact that she enjoyed it, first of all, is a win in my book. She found it very gripping. Just kind of going through my notes here, I could tell she was very honest and very thoughtful in her feedback, because there are some things that she really enjoyed and there are things that she recommended I work on, which I appreciate. There were the part 2 of my book, which is my favorite part of the book, was also her favorite part of the book, which makes me truly believe that it is a good part. The one thing that I was kind of concerned about and that what I wanted feedback on is the romance of the main characters. And I kind of felt like it needed some work, and she kind of confirmed that it does need a little bit of work. So I'm going to have to work on that a little bit. I might go back to Romancing the Beat, which is a book about writing romance, and kind of delve a little bit deeper into like that sort of strategy on how to write that. Then she had some questions that I don't actually answer at the end of the book that I thought were good, so I can go back and answer those. She wanted a little bit more character development of the main male character, which I had thought about doing and I haven't done yet, so that confirms that I'm going to do that. She wanted some more explanation on certain parts of their world, so I think I'm going to add those in when I start draft 3. So yeah, overall, she had lots of really great feedback. I am so grateful to have gotten that feedback because I feel like it either confirms or directs me in the right way of things that I kind of had in the back of my head. And now I do have like a second opinion of that. So I was really nervous. I had this moment when we first sat down and I knew we were going to talk about it and I knew I'd sent her this work, but as soon as the names of my male characters left her mouth, I kind of like spazzed. I was like, oh my God, someone else has read this. And like it just, I had a moment where I was like, oh my God, someone else has read my work. So anyways, super, super thankful to my friend for reading that. And now I feel like I have really good feedback. It's kind of late now. It's like 9:30. So I'm not going to write any tonight. I'm just going to kind of absorb that information. I do plan on writing tomorrow. It definitely makes me feel motivated to write because I think coming back from Scotland, going back to work, all of these external factors have made it really hard for me and challenging to write, but kind of feeling, inspired by what I was told about this work, my work, and it just makes me feel really motivated. So I do plan on writing tomorrow, but not tonight since it's already so late. But I will see you guys tomorrow. Good morning, everyone, and happy Sunday. I've had a very slow morning, which has been really nice. I woke up, I had a little breakfast, and I've been reading all morning and writing. So I just thought I'd kind of share a little bit of what I've been up to. I currently have 3 books that I keep at my bedside. These are the 3. And so I thought I'd just mention them to you guys really quick. So these 2 I kind of read as companion books. This first one is Evergreen by Lydia Millen. If you guys have been on YouTube for a while, Lydia Millen is like an OG British YouTuber. I think she's actually the most successful British YouTuber. She makes a lot of content about just like life in the countryside of England. So I bought this book last year when it first came out, and it essentially focuses on leaning into the seasons. So there's like a winter season, spring, summer, fall, and kind of finding the joy and connecting with the seasons to sort of balance the flow of life. I really enjoy the concept. So I read a chapter this morning, and essentially it talks about like, as the earth and creatures hibernate, so should we. And I love that idea. And so this is a good book in terms of like, it's evergreen. You can read it every single year and I think find value from it. And I actually picked this next one up yesterday and I immediately am obsessed with it. So it's called Romancing the Everyday. This is by, who is this by? Andrea Kask-Prazak. I picked this up at a local bookshop. Back when TikTok was allowed, I would look up content about like romancing like your daily life, and now that TikTok's gone, this just has inserts about how you can romance every single day. So whereas Evergreen focuses on the quarterly seasons, Romancing the Everyday has an excerpt for each week. So there's 52 weeks, and so they're filled with like beautiful images and recommendations on like things you can do to romance your life and to move slower. And so I actually love both of these, and I read them and I'm reading them together because I just think they complement each other really well. The other book I'm reading, which is my current like fiction book, is Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Moss. She blew up on TikTok. I'm currently like maybe an eighth of the way in, but I really like it a lot. I find it so important to read because like as an aspiring author, I think it's really important to just, fill your mind with stories, right? And books, and I love books. So anyways, that was my morning. And speaking of TikTok, I'm just like so sad because the TikTok ban has officially went into effect, and I feel like my thumb is like ghosting the app. Like I open my phone and it immediately goes to the TikTok app, but then it doesn't work, and it's just really sad. But anyways, that was my morning. And then I actually took some time to work on my notes from last night. So I took some time this morning I've obviously slept on my feedback from my beta reader, and I took some time this morning to really like synthesize it. And so yesterday, when I got my feedback, we were in a restaurant, the lighting was low, so I was just kind of scribbling a lot of what she was talking about. So I really took time this morning to make it really organized. I split it into 3 sections. So things that she really liked, some priorities that she recommends that I work on, which ironically were character developments. And then last was just overall improvements within the storyline. So I think it was really helpful for me to take time to do that, because now I feel like very good moving forward. With that being said, I still need to finish part 4. So I took some time this morning to write a little bit. I think it was so good for me to sit down with her, and it gave me a lot of motivation because I haven't written in like 4 days, and it made me feel really motivated to keep going because I think I have something special. At least I hope I do. So I wrote a little bit this morning, and that's kind of my goal today, because it's like snowing outside, is just to be cozy and write inside. Hello friends, it is 8:30 at night now, and I am wrapping up for the evening. I've written about 5 different spurts throughout the day, and I have written a total of 3,856 words, bringing up my total word count to 82,621. Honestly, the best thing I ever did was get that beta feedback yesterday, because this is the most I've written definitely in the month of January, but even like looking back at my stats in the month of December, my highest writing day in December was at the beginning, and that was at 2,320 words. So I'm definitely like hitting some numbers, and I really want to write a lot more tomorrow as well. I want to use this momentum to get me through the finish line, because I was looking back at my Amazon roadmap. I made a video about this, of like my timeline for this book. And in that roadmap, I really wanted to be done with draft 2 by the end of January, so that way I could read it kind of in the later months of February. So to actually accomplish that, I have about 100 pages left to write in part 4, and there's 2 weeks left in January. I think I can do it. I do think it's a bit ambitious, because I think that's going to be about 20,000 words. I think I can do 20,000 words. But like I said, I'm just going to have to really like buckle down and be disciplined about it. And I really want to stick to the timeline I made for myself. So here's to hoping. But anyways, I'm going to stop for the night. I had a really good writing day, and I'm really happy with what I wrote today. I wrote a ton of scenes, because some of the scenes right now are a little bit on the shorter side, because just a lot of things are moving at one time. And it's just setting up for kind of like this big thing that's going to happen at the end. So a lot of it is just setting up, getting to that place. We're also at this part where we're having quite a bit of this character arc happening with one of our main characters. Like, it's on the down. We're getting there. It's at that little pinnacle. And so I'm interested in really writing that part, because that was something that my friend talked to me about yesterday when she was reading. She was like, I haven't really seen any changes in this particular character. And I'm like, don't you worry, it's coming. So, but anyways, that's it for tonight, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Hello everyone, it is evening. I've had a pretty slow day. I'm also not wearing makeup, forgive me. Spent some time walking and just trying to be cozy today. I have been writing on and off throughout the day, and I'm going to have one more writing session before calling it quits for the evening. But before I do that, I realized I remember someone commented on my video a while ago asking if I would share the actual beta feedback that I received. And I never really thought that might be something you guys are interested in. But if you guys are, I figured I could actually go through it. As you guys know, I have made it a little bit more organized. Starting with just overall, she really enjoyed it. She found it gripping. Going first into the positives, she loved part 2. She felt like it was very well written and the relationship felt believable, which I love that. I think I might have mentioned this earlier, but part 2 was my favorite part of the book to write. So I'm really happy that my beta reader really enjoyed reading it. Next up, she really liked the slow build up between C and E. It felt believable, which is good. This is, I wouldn't classify myself as a romance writer. I'm definitely more action. And by action, I don't mean like fighting. I just mean moving the plot along. And then third is she liked sort of my spicier scenes, which is good because I really don't think that I'm a romance writer. I think there's just a certain formula to romance that I haven't really figured out yet when you write about it. But I think writing the spice was a lot easier for me. I have went back and forth about whether I want to have open or closed door spice in my book. Right now it's open door. We'll see if I change that, but I feel like the open door spice is necessary because there's things that happen during the open door spice that are important to the overall plot. So we'll see. Okay. My priorities, or the priorities she recommended, is number 1, focusing on the male character and just providing more background to the reader about who he is in his past and who he is now in his current role, which I totally agree with. I was actually thinking about this not too long ago, how I really think I need to add more of him into the book. And then 2, there is someone who isn't one of the main characters, but she does take up a role at the beginning. And so my beta reader really wanted to know who is she and maybe getting a little bit more of her perspective because she does come back in later in the book. So I think maybe adding just a little bit more development at the beginning would be good. So those were the 2 priorities she recommended overall. Next up is just improvements. So at the beginning, there's a big game that's going on, and she really wanted to know the purpose of the game. And I actually know the purpose of the game. I just never really added it into the book. I thought it kind of made sense and stood on its own, but she was like, no, you should explain why they do the game. So I'm like, okay, it makes sense. 2, there was a lot of dialogue without action. She really wanted to know what's the body language. So I was like, okay, I can do that. 3, there is a certain group of individuals who play a very minor role. And to me, I think it's obvious of the role that they play, but she said that they aren't. It's not really that obvious. She wanted to know who they were and more details about them. So I was like, okay. Number 4, she wants me to define more nuanced words. So for her, she's not read any of the other big works in the Greek mythological fiction genre. So Circe or Achilles, any of those books she hasn't read. And so some of these words that I think may be more common to that type of reader wasn't as common for her, and so I totally understood. And I want this to be a book that anyone can pick up and read, so I will definitely define those. 4, there is an enemy in the book, but she said I don't really explain it too much until later, which I do agree with. She really wanted me to explain it earlier, and she wanted to feel the fear and the foreboding earlier in the book. And so she wanted me to add details, how big the enemy is, where all has the enemy struck. All very valid thoughts that I can develop, and I'm happy to. 6, the relationship between A and T. Okay, there's really 2 romances going on in the book. One of them, which I mentioned earlier, the believable one, is a much slower burn, versus the other romance is not insta-lovey, but it needs to happen quicker because of things that happen in part 4. And I wasn't confident about that particular relationship, and I was right. She was not sold on it. She thinks adding the background, and I agree, I think adding more background of who he is might make it more believable. And she had an interesting theory about maybe making the beginning more dramatic, so making it a little bit more enemies to lovers, which would make sense politically. And perhaps there's like an incident or something that changes the character's mind about the other person. So I'm going to play with that. I have an idea of what I could do. And then last up was, I spent a lot of time, I guess, at the beginning talking a lot about the weather. So she thought maybe adding in a detail about the weather kind of being foreboding once things go wrong could be an element to add, which I know exactly where I would do that. So those were the feedback, or that was the feedback that I got from my beta reader. I think it was really great feedback, and I plan to implement a lot of the recommendations. Now it is now evening. It's 8 o'clock. I've had dinner. I've had a nice calm day, and I'm going to write for a little bit more. This will be my last writing session. And so let's see what we can get done. Alrighty guys, I've got to a good stopping point. So I wrote today in total 3,028 words, which brings up my total word count to 85,649. And I just checked, I have 61 pages left to write in part 4. And then I'm done with the book. So very, very exciting. Really excited to wrap this up. I think I can do this by the end of January and stick to my Amazon roadmap timeline. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We know we got some really great feedback. We put in a lot of really good work on the manuscript. I wrote a little over 7,000 words total this weekend, which I'm really happy about. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of relax for the rest of the evening because I'm going into the office tomorrow. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe because it really does help support my channel. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.